Paul Lester is a music journalist with the Guardian newspaper in London. He's on the line now. Paul, your thoughts at this time?
Well, stunned, very, very sad. I mean, it is one of the saddest days for music I can think of. In terms of global impact, John Lennon is the only artist that comes anywhere near to this. And I'm looking on Facebook. It's touched everybody's lives. I mean, even people that haven't really been following music for decades are really deeply saddened by his death. I can't think of anybody else that you can say that about. I mean, it's very, very, very sad.
I don't think it would be to oversell his legacy, but we're talking here about a man who was Shakespearean in what he did. I mean, he acted, he wrote, he directed, he wrote songs. He had definitive albums for more than a generation of listeners.
Yeah, I mean, those albums that he released, I'd say between Hunky Dory in 1971 and Let's Dance in 1983. I mean, that's what maybe you could call his imperial phase. It's a very long period to have been creatively brilliant. Really talking in terms of maybe the Beatles as being the only other artists who managed to sustain their creative peak as long as that. Of course, he's been going for a lot longer than that 12-year period, but that was the period when he did his best work. And those records that he released during that period, like Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, Young Americans, Low, Heroes, Scary Monsters, they had just an astonishing impact on the development of popular music. Lyrically, musically, the presentation of it all, the way he changed his image from record to record, staggering impact.
But as well as changing his image, surely, Paul, he also managed to do that thing that few artists do successfully over this period of time. I mean, he reinvented himself several times and went in completely different directions, but stayed true to what he thought the dynamic of his creativity should be.
That's right, yeah. I mean, 1972, he does Ziggy Stardust. He invents glam. Already by 74, he changed direction completely, and he made a soul record called Young Americans in Philadelphia that anticipated the sort of the white funk and the disco music that came afterwards. But by 1977, he changed again. He moved to Berlin and made some records with Brian Eno, Low, Heroes, and Lodger, that anticipated the music of the 80s, electronic music, synthesizer pop music. All of those would have not been possible without David Bowie.
I mean, he did the whole glam thing before the New Romantics did the New Romantic thing in the mid to late 80s. He did arguably the prog rock thing before prog rockers were really doing prog rock. As somebody who obviously had to get the recording contracts, he had to work with different managers, different bands at different times in his career. Did he find it difficult at all, do you think, to sell his vision to the people that he had to be engaged with?
Well, David Bowie is he's a person that you bring up a lot as an object lesson in not giving up, because people think he emerged fully formed in the early 70s with Ziggy Stardust and that he was an overnight success, but actually he had been toiling away behind the scenes for about 7 years before that. I mean, he was around in the mid-60s. He was a sort of a mod character. He put out records that, there was one that was a hit later on that they released after he became successful, The Laughing Gnome. His first couple of albums, David Bowie and Space Oddity, they didn't sell at all. And if that was to happen today, an artist would probably get dropped from their record label and they would probably give up. But back in those days, artists were given a little bit more leeway and were allowed to fall at the first hurdle and then carry on. They were given a bit more creative scope, and it really did take until Ziggy Stardust. I mean, Hunky Dory came out before that, but that really wasn't successful until after the Ziggy Stardust. But it took several years for Bowie to stick. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that he did anticipated moves that everyone else would make several years down the line. But the New Romantics, the Boy Georges, the Spandau Ballets, the Duran Durans, they were born out of the experience that he was doing 10 years before.
Paul, thank you for your time.